poet once said, "There's the most important thing we know, the first lesson we learn. But hunger can be easily quieted down, easily satiated. There is another force, a different type of hunger, an unquenchable thirst that cannot be extinguished. Its very existence is what defines us, what makes us human. That force is love. But when we find love, no matter how wrong, how sad, or how terrible, we cling to it. It gives us our strength. It holds us upright. It feeds on us, and we feed on it. Love is our grace. Love is our downfall.
My name's Paul.
My name's Andy.
This is the Unpenned Show on Tuesday, the 29th of July 2014. Had a week off last week.
We certainly did.
But you did bring a sick note, didn't you?
I did.
You did bring a sick note with an illness that I've never heard of before.
Oh, I'd not have heard of it before either. I had, wait for it, labyrinthitis. I've never been so chuffed.
Now, when you told me the symptoms,
that.
I mean, I laughed as much as you did. Tell me, labyrinthitis. Why is it called labyrinthitis?
Labyrinthitis. It's a virus that gets into your body by whatever means, and a virus is something that they don't know what it is really. You're poorly anyway, but it attacks it finds a weakness in your head, so it must whiz round your head, find where the weakness is, and attacks that weakness. And because it was affecting my balance and my vision, he said it must have been attacking my inner ear. So, but my wife was quite shocked. She thought... my wife actually went with me to the doctors. She took me to the doctors like your mum would.
Yeah, but that's because the symptoms were similar.
Yes.
They were similar to something else, weren't they?
They were.
And I would have thought exactly the same thing. I would have phoned 999 and said, I think...
he's having a stroke.
Yep.
My wife actually thought I was having a stroke. She didn't tell me at the time. I thought she didn't... she must not have wanted to worry me. But it was funny, after 6 o'clock Sunday morning, I just woke up with a start, and I thought... My brain said, there's something not right with you need to get up. And as soon as I got up, I couldn't walk, I couldn't focus. The room was spiralling to the right. It was like something like the Twilight Zone, and as I was walking, my whole body wanted to go to the right. I wanted to spin round in a circle to the right, and I managed to do what I needed to do, and got back to bed. And I remember just laying on the bed and saying to Karen, there's something seriously gone wrong in my head, and that's. But she said my speech was slurred. It didn't sound slurred to me, but that's why she thought I was having a stroke, and that's the reason why she went to the doctors with me, because she was relaying the symptoms to the doctor.
She was there. She was there because of her experience.
Yes,
she was there to make sure a junior doctor didn't miss what
she did.
What
right.
may have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Scary time.
It was
because the actual symptoms.
Scary.
I mean, you said that you felt your head was a little light and a little higher than it should be.
My head felt as though it was 3 foot off higher than it should have been.
Strange sensation.
It was. I've only just sort of this week. It started to slowly come
Yeah, but it
down.
actually knocked you down for a week.
It did. It knocked me on the back for a week.
6 days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Labyrinthitis.
Labyrinthitis.
And even maybe we haven't described the symptoms exactly, but it fits with being stuck
Yeah,
in a labyrinth.
it does. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have been more chuffed. I said to the doctor, I said, what have I got? He says, labyrinthitis. I knew I'd got something, but I didn't think it was exotic as that.
It's taken me a few years to get this.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're back doing what we do on a Tuesday. Our last YouTube video has gone nuts, really. 230 to 40 odd views.
Has it really?
Well, yeah, I can't understand why.
Last
I don't
time
know why,
looked, it
because
was 201.
Because we don't actually conform to what everybody else is doing, do we?
No,
We don't want any money.
we don't.
We don't care if you comment or if you don't. If you're kind enough to say thanks very much, guys, whatever.
Yeah.
That's all we'll ever ask for.
And we've had a few comments.
Yeah.
Thank you for those.
No money, no
Yeah.
DVDs, no books, no personal appearances. We don't worry about that. We actually do this for selfish reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One, because we hope our children perhaps might learn something from it in the very distant future, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because it's not for 20-odd-year-olds, this, is it?
No.
And even though 20-odd-year-olds, some are discovering it,
Mm-hmm.
they aren't discovering what they need to discover. And what they need to discover is who and what they are and who and what they should be doing.
Yep.
Now, this sounds a bit... I know it sounds a bit airy-fairy, but today's 20-somethings haven't experienced life at all, hardly.
Nope.
The majority in the UK here, there's 2 million 18 to 30-year-olds that are still living at home that wouldn't normally be living at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is all a contracting economy.
Yeah.
This is all a shrinking disposable income. But there is the other side as well, and that is the kids have got multiple distractions now. Multiple distractions, all social media,
Yeah.
and obviously fashion and that sort of thing has really taken a grip on these people. So we can't blame them, because the kids are only a copy, or they used to be a copy of the parents, and then the parents would improve upon that copy of themselves because the parents were wiser,
Yes.
more knowledgeable, and could advise and help children through the mistakes that life have to offer. And it's obviously it's girls, it's cars, it's holidays, it's financial investments, it's houses, it's serious relationships, it's weddings, it's children, all those things. Your parents have experienced it, and their job now, after they've experienced it, is to help you experience it in a much more successful way.
Yeah.
That's a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect world, do
No.
we? Everybody can sit and do the perfect sentence, the perfect outcome, what we'd all like to see happen.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't happen in anybody's life. The toilets still need cleaning. The
They do.
washing still needs doing.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't wake up in a happy mood every bloody day, and breakfast isn't always made in 2 seconds between the adverts, is it?
No.
So, television is primarily, well, not just television, but communication as a whole, is primarily responsible, not just in this generation that we're talking about, but throughout our recent lives, certainly the past 150, 200 years, it's responsible for the quickening.
Yeah.
Because the quickening we experience is the actual gaps in our communications. The gaps are being reduced. The world has been reduced to a text message.
Yeah.
Or a social media posting. It's immediate.
Yeah.
You know, we have people saying, I'm bored. But we've always said we're bored. But why do we say bored? Why do we say bored? Are we on board? Are we aboard? Or why do we have boarding schools? What's the difference between a boarding school and a regular school? A boarding school takes care of your every needs and you sleep there.
It does, yeah.
A regular school, at least in my time, fed you lunch and you went home at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So a boarding school, the primary difference is the level of
Care.
it provides for you, but you sleep there.
Yes.
So when you're saying I'm bored, what are you saying? You're saying you're bored and you don't feel like you want to. I don't want to do anything. What you're really saying is I don't really want to do anything, because if you did really want to do something, you'd be doing it.
You'd be doing it, yeah.
It's a bit like saying I'm fine. When you ask people how's things, and people say, oh, I'm fine. The reason they say I'm fine is really quite straightforward, because if they didn't say fine, they'd have to do something.
Yeah.
You see, we're lazy. we're lazy and we're gullible. And if we didn't say I'm fine and believe it in our heads, then we'd have to say I'm not fine and I'm going to have to sort this out.
Yeah.
Well, it's just easier to say I'm fine.
Yeah,
isn't it just much easier, isn't it?
You don't want to bore people with your problems.
Yeah, but you're fine. You don't even think there's a problem.
No, you don't.
You see each generation getting sicker than the last. You see your children barely capable to read and write and spell and add up. They are barely capable. You see your children thinking that they live in a world of a world of friends, communicating all the time with all their friends, and yet they're on their own. The illusion, the counterfeit, is working really well.
It is.
Our claim has been for some time now that we're actually, by spreading the bad news, by theorising everything that we think has gone wrong, we're confusing the world, we're confusing ourselves, and we're not actually making things better. Because the reason that we got into this mess is our own ignorance. That's what it is. And a bad education. It was ridiculous of us to assume that our masters would educate us to anywhere near the standard that would challenge them. So what's happened in our little circle that we've been mixing with for a while, but we tend to distance ourselves a bit now from, is that, well, let's just get this out in one go. At the very bottom of the heap are the very dumbest people. By I mean dumbest, I mean their communications are usually of very rare value. Okay, they don't really have any value usually. It's tittle-tattle, playground chatter, tell-tales, and soap gossip. It's no value. But that's because they're at the bottom of the pile. They're the ones that... They're the dumbest people. And the people who find this, invariably, are the people at the bottom of the pile. And within a very short space of time, these people, via YouTube, seem to think that they're now smarter than the smartest. And our claim is that this is actually making things worse.
It is making things worse.
It's actually making things worse.
Yeah.
It occupies your time. When we're arguing about current events, news items, and all the things that we're given, we've got to start to see the news as the most essential part of the control system.
Yeah.
It is the very essence of the control system.
Total propaganda.
But that's how we're controlled.
Yep.
And the newspapers appear to be full, whichever one you read, they appear to be full to some extent with the things that we talk about. Now, why would you think that was? Because they already want us to talk about them. You look in the Sun today, there's a big centre spread about wheat and how it's suspected of causing all sorts of problems, including cancer and diabetes and many other linked diseases with wheat.
Right.
Big centre spread.
Yep.
Okay, and this doctor says, just stop eating it. Are people who read the Sun going to stop eating wheat?
No.
No, because they're eating the Weetabix while they're reading the centre
Exactly.
page. Exactly.
Born and bred. Eat
That's
your
right.
toast while you're reading the... Don't eat wheat.
Correct. So if we look at this story here, okay, and it's from January 2008, and it's how social services have paid bonuses to snatch babies for adoption. Now, this is 2008, okay? This is 6.5 years ago. Has anything changed? Has anything changed at all?
No.
Do we think social services are snatching less babies? Or do we think they might be actually taking a few more? Because the rate of acceleration over this new story here was, 50% up on the couple of years before. So I think we can safely say that the figures might be the same, but they might be considerably more. What I'm trying to say is that we're not making any difference to anything.
We're not.
Okay, this constant news hounds, this constant finding it first, this constant have you seen this, is what you're actually programmed to do. But instead of talking about what you know, you're sharing what somebody else has told you that you should know. The sixth sense that we've talked about before is common sense. The seventh sense that I think exists for me is feeling. Proper emotion. A proper depth of feeling that I never knew existed until just a recent few years ago.
Empathy.
proper empathy, and then knowing.
Yeah.
But you see, when you learn at our level, okay, how this works, it actually makes us weaker.
Yep. Week by week.
Yes, week by week, and at the weekend, we're weekend. Yeah. But it makes us weaker. Initially, you're bloody mad, aren't you?
Yeah.
Initially, you're furious. Initially, you want to go fight. They've got the guns, they've got the power, and they've got the money.
They have.
I don't advise thinking that we can fight them in what we think is the traditional method of war.
No.
Then the pain comes, doesn't it? This is where it weakens us greatly. Because now we have to acquire a conscience. Because we now claim that we're conscious or awake. Now, before being conscious or awake, can we claim that we had a conscience? Well, hang on. You're either conscious, and you've got one, or you're not, so you don't. Does this system make you feel guilty for the amount of time that it took you to realise how the world really worked?
Yeah.
Would you have felt guilty without a conscience? You can't, can you?
I wouldn't have thought so, no.
So, we use the word awake, but the word is to have a conscience, isn't it? Because what's making the people do this on YouTube and Facebook and other social media networks is primarily guilt. Of we should have known this. We should have known this years ago. We should have figured this out years ago. Well, that's what making you and I do, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an embarrassment and a guilt.
And consciousness should not be mixed with morals, because you all have. I think we're all brought up with morals and knowing what's right and wrong. But is it the consciousness that takes you to that next level in realising why people do things that are wrong and use it to bend the rules to get away with rubbing shoulders with people, compromising themselves to get where they want to be?
We're told we're in a race, a human race. That's what we're told, isn't it? And using the word morals, the word scruples, and conscience, that tells us there's a line that we shouldn't cross. How do you win a race?
Yeah.
How do you win a race?
You by crossing the line.
Right, okay. So, if we look at the spell of con science, has it made us stronger or weaker? Is it designed to make us feel guilty and to get us to blame ourselves? Because that's what happened to us initially, wasn't it? But then you keep moving. You keep rolling forwards. And you realise that, yeah, we're meant to blame ourselves. We're meant to look around. And we're meant to highlight humanity's pitfalls, its weaknesses. We're meant to look at people who are less than. We're meant to actually feel that these people perhaps aren't worthy. They don't have value. Perhaps the world can get along just nicely without them. Now, we've broached that subject.
We have,
but we haven't said we agree with it.
No.
But in fact, every show that we've ever done, should anybody have listened to enough of them, what we've always said is, you're going to have to find yourself something to do. You're going to have to find something that you can feed yourself by doing.
Yeah.
Now, I know you might not want to. And I know you might think that doing anything in this system is slavery, and you refuse to be a slave. And everybody who's listening to the shows, I've said, okay, I don't have a problem with that, as long as you're not living on somebody else's money. Otherwise, you're a liar. And I don't have any time for you. Please feel free to live however you feel appropriate, but on other people's money, it's not appropriate. You're now a slave and the worst beggar of the kind that we're talking about. So I'm not trying to upset people here. I'm trying to get people to see where they are. You and I are self-employed. We are slaves just like everybody else.
Oh, without a doubt.
But are we as enslaved as those who work for people? Are we? No, we're not.
No,
we don't have to beg people for jobs, do we?
No,
and we don't have to be told how much we're going to get per hour.
No,
we don't have to be told how many holidays we're getting. We don't have to be told you'll start at this time and you'll finish at this time and you'll get sacked if you don't do it.
No, and I've actually walked off jobs.
But you see what I mean?
I've had the choice to do it or walk off.
But you see what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't get spoken to like that.
No.
So for all we're all slaves.
Yeah.
Those that work for others have got to expect that they are the lowest slave.
Yeah.
This is not me being unpleasant. This is not me looking for an argument. It's just get used to how this works. Because you've been wearing the clothes for a long time. So at least work out how they fit. Because you're wearing them anyway. No matter what you think you are, whether you quote Freeman quotes to me or Sovereign quotes to me or just the fact that I do not consent, that's all well and good. And, that's how you start. But that's not where you stay. You move along, don't you? We spotted this week, was it last week? Now, I suppose it was last week's news, wasn't it? About that cracking turnout for that fella in, was it Leicester or Birmingham?
Nottingham, yeah. A guy called Tom. I only found out about it last week? No, yes, last week or the week before.
It was last week's news.
It was,
last week's news, yeah.
And,
200 good-hearted people. There was certainly a good 200 there.
And the various people that had filmed it with the mobile phones or whatever, there were a lot of people there.
There was, yeah.
And the turnout was brilliant.
It was really encouraging, wasn't it?
It was encouraging,
yep.
Yes.
But I read the newspaper story, and then I read it again. I watched a little bit of the video. There's something wrong with this story. There's something wrong with it. First of all, you don't have a repayment mortgage if it's been covered by an endowment. Right, you don't.
No.
Okay, the claim in the newspaper was that it had been turned into an interest-only loan in 2007, and no one had told them. If it's covered by an endowment, it's always been interest only.
It has, yes.
If it's paid the endowment, there's a paper trail. I can only guess that there's something happened here that hasn't come to light, and that is that everybody who took an endowment policy out in the 80s, especially the late 80s,
I've got my hand up,
was getting letters from 2001, 2002. It's not going to pay it out.
Look how gullible I was. I had 2. They sold me 2. This one it's not gonna pay out, but keep that one going. But get this one to top it up. And I went, I'll have some of that.
It's like diets. You don't get enough to eat on one, do you?
I'll have a top up. Sounds good.
I'm pretty sure about 2001, 2002, 2003, I started getting letters saying your endowment policy is not going to pay out the amount. It's not going to pay out the amount. And then they left it for 6 months, and then they came out with red letters. It's not going to pay out the amount.
Not going to do it.
So I remember all that. Now, this chap who's poorly, I know he's been diagnosed with cancer.
He has.
And I'm certainly not one for saying that he should be made homeless.
No.
But we can't fix the world sat in our North Yorkshire headquarters having a beer on a Tuesday night, can we?
No.
But we say what we see, and we ask questions.
Yeah.
And sometimes we say things that people don't like, and that's fine. Don't listen.
No.
Don't listen.
Well, in view of that, I've got a mortgage. It's on a repayment mortgage, and because you have a repayment mortgage, I have to, and because I'm self-employed as well, I have to have an insurance policy in place that, should I get terminal illness, should I die, that there's enough money there to pay the mortgage off. And it's called decreasing term insurance.
We all have to have it. I have to have the same thing.
And when I was chatting with you about this very subject the other week, I said, I'm going to have to go away and dig out the policy, because you and I know insurance companies wriggle out of paying.
Well, no, the insurance companies, they're there to make a profit, fella.
They are. They'll find any loophole that they can to not pay you.
Well, it's called liability.
Liability, yes.
Okay, listen to the words. You see, all the time we speak into reality these words, and we never hear them, do we?
No.
The insurance companies will assume a risk upon liability.
Yes.
Okay, that's what it's all about.
It is, yes.
Right, if insurance companies weren't to make a profit, okay, then you'd actually win. In other words, for insurance companies to make a profit, overall, you all have to lose. And as long as the one case that needs paying out gets whatever, then the other 80 to 90 to 100 they're going to keep paying.
They are.
That's how this works.
It does.
If you do pensions or endowment policies where there's no risk of these things, you can see what happens to those.
Yeah.
They don't pay out. They don't come back with what you're expecting to do. No.
Well, every day they have to ring the looting bell
It's the lutein bell.
Oh, it is.
It's the lutein bell.
Oh,
I do like this. I do like the way you're thinking there.
I thought it was the
I
lutein
do
bell.
like that.
Ding ding,
I
off you
do
go,
like the
lads. Get your swag bag
It
out.
should be called the high frequency trading bell, I think.
Swag bag and a black and white stripy t-shirt.
We really are pawns in this game.
We are, certainly
We
are.
pawn ourselves every day.
We do.
We do. We don't realise that we're actually. We've been at war with these people for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But we've not been at war with them the way that they've been at war with us. They've been at war with us forever.
They have.
Forever. I mean, we can only go through recent history and what we can actually see has happened, as opposed to reading back in history, and then we get into the land of fairy tales.
Mm-hmm.
Because anybody who tells me what happened before 1600, I'll say, good, but you got it out of a book.
Yeah.
And that book wasn't printed in 1500, was it? No.
Oh.
That book was probably printed about 1990-something. Okay? So there's an awful lot of gaps between what happened there and what went in that bloody book.
Well, we've both been reading Tragedy and Hope.
Yep.
That's written in the 60s about world history.
But he starts off in the recent times. It's the history of recent times.
Yeah.
That's why I'm sort of in the 1700s here, because, if you we can only go with what we could see with our own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is somebody else's vision.
Yeah.
This is why arguing about the news is silly.
Mm-hmm.
This is why Facebook serves a good purpose, but there's no money in it for anybody.
No.
Because there's no money in this part of what we're doing here. Lots of people try and get money out of this. A lot of our gurus and reporters, they say it's very expensive to do this. No, it isn't. It's very expensive to live. It's not very expensive to do this. Freedom's not cheap, but actually sat in front of a computer looking on the internet is relatively cheap. But we've said before that anybody who spends 7 days a week on this, banging stuff on Facebook, banging stuff on other social media, getting involved with radio stations, so you think, well done. How are you doing it? Where are you living and how are you doing it? I remember once we started off at a station, a year or 2 or 3 now, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were new to it then. We were gullible. We were
we thought it was the way forward.
We were gullible. We were amateurs. We listened to all these people who we thought knew what they were doing. Didn't last long, did we?
No.
Soon figured that one out, didn't we? I remember the boss saying to me, he said, I don't really understand much about the financial system, but I do know one thing. As long as you ask the right questions, that's what matters. And I thought, how do you know you get the right answers, you dozy crap? And I knew then many other things happened. But you think to yourself, I really was quite naive, wasn't I? You don't realise how silly you were until you've moved away and looked back.
Yeah, you got to take stock.
You and I are clocking 50. You're a year behind me.
I am just a year, yeah.
And you think to yourself, how did I get this old? Without figuring out how dumb and stupid I was just 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I was figuring it out, but nowhere near to what I've got it figured out now.
No.
And I don't think you can do it much before 40, do you?
No, you've got to have lived.
You've got to have done. You've got to have failed. Actually,
you have.
You've got to have succeeded and failed, because this is build them up
and knock them down. That's just what's happening with my daughter at the moment. Yep. She's got an fine art degree, and she's came out of university, and then she went into the care business.
Yep.
Minimum wage, all this kind of thing, and she got one care job and got quite well up in that one, and then she was looking for other care jobs, found another care job where she wanted to work, was in Harrogate. Lovely job. She's just been there just short of 2 years, and she was it's a charity based company, is this, for non-profit, non-commercial. It'll be classed as non-commercial
not
charity.
For profit.
Not for profit.
That's what non-commercial means.
Non-commercial's not for profit.
All you freemen of the land, remember that.
Yeah.
Non-commercial means it doesn't mean domestic.
No,
it means not
for profit.
Yeah.
And she, cut a long story short, she'd been looking after deaf and blind children, not children, adults. It's called a college. So they go to the college, and it's Katie's job to help them through the day and help them with the work and things like that. But just a glorified bum wiper and sick wiper upper and feeding and things like that. It turns out she'd had 7 days off sick in the in running up to the 2 years, she got a letter saying that she was being called in to discuss her 7 days sickness.
Discuss.
Yeah, discuss.
I know. Think about this, think about costs,
And,
split them up, and think, what are we doing? You know, I had a PM through Facebook this week about loving the shows, enjoying the word breakup, but I wonder if you could just give me some more ideas of. You can't, can you? You've got to do it yourself. You've got to start taking the words apart yourself.
Yep.
But keep going.
But anyway, this is how old is she now? She's 25, 26, and she was in tears in the office because it turned out they were finishing her. They were not renewing her contract in September. They're going to pay her until September, so effectively she's got the holidays off, which she would have had anyway. And so they sacked her and finished her. Didn't renew her contract, whichever way you want to word it.
Contract. That's where you sign something that's not usually in your best interest.
Yes.
Because the person that's offering you the contract has written it with their terms and conditions.
They have.
And if you don't check those terms and conditions,
right,
you've agreed to this. Right, you've actually signed an agreement.
You have.
It's not a contract.
It's not a contract.
It's not a contract.
No.
It's not a negotiated terms and conditions. So when you have signed a contract, you've agreed to sign a contract.
It's done exactly what it says.
You didn't read it.
It's made you smaller because you've had to go and beg for a job.
That's right, because it's a contract.
Yeah.
You've acted against yourself because you thought... Because you didn't think, you didn't think, and you didn't read.
You didn't read it through.
Yep.
You're quite.
So therefore, you've been made smaller.
Yes, you have.
Contract.
And anyway, in tears, on the phone, lost a job. I'm going to go get a solicitor and all this. I said, you can do that, Katie, but you need to check. I said to her, this contract that you signed, have you got it? She says, yes, I have. Anyway, cut a long story short, the Human Resources Department, which sacked her, she took it up with them, and they just decided that because she'd not worked there for more than 2 years,
you've virtually no rights.
They can.
They don't have to.
They can, but to rub salt into the wounds, they'd just taken on 2 new members of staff that were a little bit more qualified than Katie. They had a few bits of paper extra than Katie had, but she was training them up. She was training them up for her job. And so she's on job hunting now, looking for a job. She'll get something, she will, but I said to her on the phone, she was in tears, I said, Katie, I says, you can mull over it and go and dig up and try and find blame and contract and go through it all. It would not worth it. Put it down to experience. Put it down to experience and move on.
It's not how many times you get knocked down.
No.
It's how many times,
you get back up.
You see, the biggest secret that no one ever tells you, but everyone tries to. Mm-hmm. You see, that there's been, right? No one ever tells you because they can't tell you. But everyone tries to tell you this, is that the problems you have, right, cannot be fixed on the outside. Oh. There is not a single person or a single event or circumstance or something you can change on the outside that is going to fulfill the problem you've got. Because the problem you've got looks at you in the mirror every day, and that person looking back to you is a liar, a pretender, right, and an offender. Mm-hmm. And they don't know they are. No. Because mirror, mirror on the wall, I am perfect, and I'm going to blame them all. This is where you won't do the work. You won't do the darker studies. No. You won't tell the blinking truth. No, and
you've said before, blame is be lame.
Exactly. It's actually to be lame.
Yeah, you're looking for a get out clause, and there isn't one.
The lame will be the male that's the meal, because he can't run as fast as the rest. Mm-hmm. We don't agree with this system.
We don't.
We don't think it's the best one that we could ever invent. But remember, if you're listening to somebody who's inventing this system for you, a brand new one, this is only possible in dreamland. Yeah. Why would you spend your time designing the new money system and rearranging the whole community system we have? Why spend your time doing that? Arguing about it, perfecting it, when the only time that's ever going to happen is when you're sleeping. You need to check if you're awake or asleep, because I've noticed this awake diagnosis is a self-diagnosis.
Yeah.
And I make the claim, Your Honour, that most people aren't awake at all. They're living a nightmare. They're not awake. This is the nightmare, the night sea. See in the night, see in the dark. You see, we can see in the dark, but it's a nightmare. If carrots worked, rabbits wouldn't get run over. But coming back to it, we talk about the system we have, dealing with what we have, and dealing with the major problem. And it's us. We're the problem because we don't tell the truth. We actually have very simple programming. Every decision is based on an outcome that is favourable for us. Okay? Every decision is based on, can we get away with it? Okay? We are not bothered about anybody else. The ones that shout the loudest that they are bothered, their conscience is pricking them the most. They're the most guilty. We cannot fix what's going on with the Palestinians.
No.
We cannot.
We can't.
All we can do is put pressure on our politicians and boycott Israeli products. If you're doing that, congratulations. That's all you can do. But I need to ask you a question. Do you know the name of your next door neighbour? Do you buy the local paper? Do you attend local meetings? Have you worked for a local charity? Do you have one or two old people that you keep an eye on? And have you lent somebody £100 and you don't expect it back in your life? Because if the answer's no, who is it you thought you were again?
I said no to a few of those.
Who are you? If you're not filtering your water, if you're still going to McDonald's, then that's up to you. Doesn't matter to me. But you're the liar, not me. You see? The British sickness, the English sickness. Say one thing. And do another. The double cross. The very name of our flag and the very words used. Double cross. Doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't mean to say one thing, do another.
No.
Double is two. Cross is whatever you make it out to be. But we've used it in this language to say one thing and do. Come in peace.
We've made a flag out of it.
Exactly, that's what I mean. The flag is come in peace, shoot to kill. Only going forward, because we can't find reverse. There is no reverse in this.
No.
I know looking in the rearview mirror sometimes can be much more attractive than looking at what's coming. But what's coming's coming anyway. And if you don't watch where you're going, you're going to crash and crash and crash some more. The real truth is, if your life's rubbish, it's because you're rubbish at it.
I've started spelling good luck, L-O-O-K.
That's exactly what you mean.
That's exactly
what
it
forwards.
means.
You're going forwards. There isn't such a thing as luck.
No, there isn't.
There's spotting the signs.
That's
what there is. Look at the signpost. Move forwards.
Have a bloody good look before you leap.
You see, the rest is what's behind you. Because they ain't racing. They're resting.
No, they're resting.
They're called the rest. Now, all they can do is follow you. Now, the rest can be used to extend your reach. But you never want to get them in front of you.
No.
Because they're the rest. And of course, to keep them arrested or at rest, you can't tell them what you know. Because this is a race. And arrested development is what they have to have. Because if they knew what you knew, then they would challenge your very position. So they cannot know what you know. Because that's why we call them the rest. And they are arrested behind you. If you were sat in the seats that we call the VIP seats, and if you were looking down at humanity and the complexity that we've created, the lies, the divisions, the offences and the dependence that we've created, and we all claim to be free, individual, responsible and respectable, what would you look and see? A mixed bag at best.
It is a mixed bag, and that's one of the processes that, along with your help, that I've learnt to look at it from both sides. Put yourself in their position.
We don't agree with them.
No,
but it's good to know why your enemy is thinking
exactly.
this way.
No, I did that with Katie. I said, Katie, you're babbling on. Just stop and put yourself in human resources chair. You're not doing this job. You're doing that job.
Every decision is based on a favourable
And
outcome for somebody who
exactly.
can make that decision.
So somebody is in that position to hire and fire people,
Yep.
and somebody has got to make that decision.
Well, listen to the word hire.
Yes.
Hire is to lift up, and fire is to take away.
Took away. Yeah. So, and she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Put yourself in their position. They've had to make a decision. It's purely financial. It's purely that's all it is. You always follow the money.
It's because of the skill level.
Financial trail.
It's because of the skill level.
Yeah. And
skill level doesn't command
No.
anything than this level here.
Exactly. And I said, the people that they've set on have got more paperwork than you've got.
How many successful people, right? Or how many? Look at your own life. I look at my life. How many times can you look back at life and you say, "I've had some terrible troubles. I've had some terrible things happen." But what do you finish that conversation off with when someone says, "But would you like to go back and change it?" What do you always say?
Yeah, I would.
You would. Okay. But you can't, though.
But you can't.
It's
No.
it's the
I would have done this different. You
yes,
say, don't you?
Yeah, but you see now you've spoiled.
Oh,
the
have I
answer.
spoiled it? Sorry.
What I'm saying is this.
I got a slap then.
This was before this. If we go back 2 or 3 or 4 years, okay, before we really fit. If I'd said to you, but would you go back and change it? You come up with the answer the stock answer that everyone comes up with. Nearly everyone comes up with. No, because it made me who I am today.
Yeah.
If these things hadn't have happened to
If
me,
they hadn't have happened, yeah.
I wouldn't be who I am.
And
the fact is that most people that have got house, wife, life, car, and savings, most people say that they agree with them and they're pretty happy with the lot. They've still got the headlights on. They're still on full beam.
Yeah.
They're not on dim.
No.
They're not looking to the side of the road in the hatchback. Full beam on. Because they still haven't finished getting to where they want to get to.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas you can tell when you're talking to people who've given up, they're on dim, aren't they?
Yeah.
Their head's down, their eyes are down, and they moan about every single thing that's happened.
Looking back, a little thing, we've done a few Monty Python sketches in the past, and they've just been advertising the Monty Python, the sort of last push before they all snuff it, I think, making a few a bit of brass before they all go. But there was one sketch, and there's two guys. One's taller than the other one. They're dressed in the uniform of the old 18th century soldiers, where they wore desert wear. You know, with the hats and the
neck covers at
the
the
neck
back.
covers at back.
Yep.
And they're dancing up and down on this canal side, and he's got a little fish. And the small guy goes up to the big guy and slaps him round the face with his fish. And when you're watching, you think, well, that ain't very funny. But then the bigger guy, he does his little dance, and he's got a bigger fish behind his back, and he smacks him round the head that hard, and he knocks him off the canal side and into the canal. And that's the scenario that I thought of with Katie. I thought, yeah, there's somebody come along with a bigger fish, and they've just knocked Katie into the canal. It's simple as. Yeah. It's who's got the might, the right, and the fight.
Because this is a water world reality.
Exactly.
This is the wonderful world of water. www. That's just one D code. It's 555 if you want another one. What we learned very quickly, what allowed us to move on very quickly, was that this is all a game of levels.
Yeah.
And it makes sense on every level until you get to the next one. And then you have to think, well, that worked on the other level, but I can't make it work here. That key fitted in that lock. Listen to the language. Key and lock. That key fitted into that lock, but it doesn't fit into that lock at this level. So I have to work out, how do I unlock this? Got to get a different key, which means you've got to go fishing around for more information. Where do you go fishing? We'll have to go online. Well, how do I go fishing online? Well, you take small bites. You know, you've got docks and you've got ports at the back in here. You've got all the stuff you need to go fishing. So are you going to be a kingfisher, a fisher of men, or are you going to get caught and be the fish? Are you going to be the human resource that got thrown overboard and then they came and caught you later?
Yeah.
You know, Jesus was a fisherman. This isn't a mistake. Do I believe in Jesus? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a great story. We try to prove things are true that don't matter. I see people called truth this and truth that and truth the other. We dropped the word a long time ago. I think in one of the shows, about 18 months ago, we said, I am going to ban the use of the word truth. Remember that?
Yeah.
Because it changes dependent on how much information you have.
Yeah.
So it should be called truth temporarily until I find something to change it. Truth rhymes with proof, and proof is irrefutable. Anything else is evidence. It's not proof. What we find on here is plenty of evidence, but no proof. There is no proof on here. This is the playground for the world. And if this thing had everything we needed, we just might use it to get out of the trouble we're in. But unfortunately, it's got mostly what we don't need in it.
Yeah.
And that's what people are enjoying. The people that we find are struggling to get along with life. They're struggling to succeed. And this is succeed, isn't it? This is succeed. And that's where you basically go and you find something that you're interested in, and you think, oh, I'm interested in that. So you've been seeded. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to grow it into something? Are you going to work for the water, and are you going to grow it into something more than you were? Or are you going to sit on your ass all day and pretend you've got lots of friends and you're part of a united front that is going to change the world forever? It's yourself that needs changing, and then the world starts to change around you.
It does, yeah.
That's the magic, isn't it?
It is. And I can see how we are part of change.
This is the one that's always been fought.
This what we're doing now is a change for us.
Yes.
We've never done this before, and we decided to try it and see what it was like. We tried to suck on it and see if we liked it, and it works for you and I in moving us.
But
moving us on every week.
We're sucked to excess, and we were full.
Yeah,
we're happy that we're successful doing this, and successful is that we enjoy it.
Yes,
it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
No.
Successful to them is some sort of financial reward, some sort of degree certificate, some sort of different award or paperwork.
Reward and recognition.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Fame and fortune, reward and recognition. That's what people are really looking for. They want patability.
Yeah.
Yeah? It's compatibility. Come over here, just like us, let me pat you on the head, pat you on the back. Well done, you. Well done, you.
Good boy.
Good
girl.
When the real truth is, the majority of people who are listening are probably alone. They're probably looking and struggling to find the love thing. Well, everybody struggles to find love. Do you know why? Because nobody can define it. It's undefinable, except if you want to try.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to try and define love, then I'll listen to what you want to love.
Yeah.
That's what you want to love. But that's personal to you.
Yeah.
It's not a hard and fast definition that applies to me. You see, when we do, if you were a girl, for example, and you and I were chatting, we're actually courting. Courting. We're negotiating terms and conditions on which we'll share experiences. That's what we're doing. So I ask you, perhaps, what is love? You give me your definition. If I'm happy with it, we'll buy into it. You've sold me it. It's a sale. I'll buy it. You see? It's all credit and debit. Credit and debit.
It is.
Add, take away. Add, take away. Work together, multiply.
Yeah.
Fall out, divide. That's maths.
It is.
That's maths. If only people could hear how it works, you'll hear the programming of the language that you speak. Is this who we've always been? I don't know. But the language has grown. Not just this is the best language of the one that's always existed. This one we're using, ballpark figure, 300 years old. Before that, it just goes back into French and Latin, and then back into Old English. Old English and Latin. You know, it's the same language, but different for the time.
Yeah.
This one's organised for us to use it now. It's a techno-logic. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
And it certainly doesn't make any sense.
Our language doesn't make sense.
No.
If you look at D-O-O-R, door, So, okay, F-O-O-R, 4. No. See? Doesn't, does it?
No.
Simple stuff. If the word sounds the same, it is the same. But the spells are made up by the witches and wizards, the spinners of our day.
Yeah.
And they fool us all the time. The one biggest problem I think that really has been part of our downfall is that we now refuse to read, don't we?
Yes.
We refuse to read.
I did for a long while, yeah.
Who here read 1984 last year? Good. Anyone? Meredith?
Having two opposing beliefs at once and believing that both are true.
Excellent, Meredith. To deliberately believe in lies while knowing they're false. Examples of this in everyday life. Oh, I need to be pretty to be happy. I need surgery to be pretty. I need to be thin, famous, fashionable. Our young men today are being told that women are whores, bitches, things to be screwed, beaten, shit on, and shamed. This is a marketing holocaust. 24 hours a day, for the rest of our lives, the powers that be are hard at work, dumbing us to death. So, to defend ourselves and fight against assimilating this dullness into our thought processes, we must learn to read, to stimulate our own imaginations, to cultivate our own consciousness, our own belief systems. We all need these skills to defend, to preserve our own minds.
And welcome back then. Our second little segment. 50 minute segment to start with.
Yes.
Tuesday the 29th of July 2014. My name's Paul.
My name's Andy.
And this is our Unpenned Show. We're just past the 2-year mark on doing these.
We are.
And thank you to everybody who's kept in touch with us.
Yes, thank you.
We don't expect people to listen too often, as it were.
No.
Because the truth is that our shows are very similar. They're very similar. But, you know, we seem to have got into a little niche of we try and get people to just keep a hold on reality.
Yep.
Stop floating off into the ether here of what might be possible.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get paid for the time you spend in here.
No.
You're not going to get recognition for the time you spend in here. And if all you're doing is copying, you're not going to be worth anything for the time you spend in here.
No.
Because everybody already knows it.
Yeah.
You know, this is a memory game. And reading the news at the speed that we do, you can't remember any of it.
No.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me at all that if the Mail Online was operating under government subsidy.
Yeah.
Because they basically print every story we talk about. How could it possibly be that the Mail Online prints it? It's the most popular middle-class paper. It's the one you and I particularly use for the mainstream media stories. It's the one that's mostly shared all over the internet. It clearly does follow the agenda of what we understand to be true, or at least what we claim is partly true.
Yeah.
How could that be?
Dunno.
When the claim from the lower end is that the media's controlled and we should ignore it.
Yeah.
It's the cognitive dissonance that we've just been listening to.
Yeah. I've just noticed. I've never done this before, but I'm looking at the Mail Online there, and it's actually written in black is Mail, so it's blackmail online.
Well, the story is
say what you see, catchphrase.
Yeah. Good thinking.
Blackmail online.
Do you know, I'm having that. I'm happy with that,
It just came to me then. I thought, oh, God, it's right. Whatever they do, they put it right in front of your face.
It's because we can't hear what we're saying anymore.
We can't.
Have we ever been able to hear?
No.
Because we can't see what we're saying.
No. Now, that raises a question with me, and I've always wanted to ask this question, and maybe some people out there might be able to answer it. I've not met anybody in this so-called truth movement or awake or whatever that's blind. Now, the reason I ask that is because Katie, the job that she's just been fired from or let go from or whatever which way you want to term it, but it's a school for blind and deaf children, and with not children, they're into adulthood. They're 18.
Young adults.
It's a college for young handicapped adults.
Yeah.
And there's ranges of handicaps that they're dealing with, but primarily it was for blind and deaf children, deaf adults. It came from a children. A lot of them have been there from been children, and they work through it. But Katie had only been there 2 days, and she walked into the room, and as soon as before she'd even said anything, the students turned around and said, "Hello, Katie," and they couldn't even see that. And Katie asked them, "How did you know it was me?" It was the way she'd opened the door and her footsteps, and that's what they picked up on.
Yeah.
And we were talking about senses earlier. That sixth sense, that they have to, they have to get in tune with it in a different way than we call ourselves able-bodied, but when we're anything but able-bodied, are we?
Well, they call him invalid, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, they do. Their senses are much more attuned because of the lack of sight.
Yes,
their senses are much more attuned. We have sight. But that is why the system always wants us to watch what they're doing.
Exactly.
So we see reality from their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
They want to put the windows in front of our very eyes.
Yeah.
They've always wanted to do that.
Yep.
Look outside your own life and see it as it's miserable and boring. You know, the people who are involved in this are, well, they're usually, I say, unhappy, a bit unloved, a bit unpopular, a bit unemployed. But they're the easiest people to control.
Exactly.
They're the easiest ones to control. That's what you don't understand. You're talking about real blind people.
Yes.
I'm talking about people who can see who are still blind.
Yes.
They're still blind.
We're still blind, deaf and dumb we are.
You know, that's right.
Yeah.
No, we're not claiming to be better than anybody else.
Oh, with that, no,
we share what we
not.
see. And if you say that you're blind, you guys too. Come and talk to us.
Yeah,
please help us see.
Because I've never felt as stupid as I have done since I was so-called awake.
Exactly. It's an embarrassment.
It is embarrassing, yeah.
That's what I mean about. That's what I mean about. You know, just because our eyes are open, we can be more blind than those blind people are.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. You know, we all have the same instincts, the same feelings, and that's proved by blind people. They still have the same facial expressions to disgust, embarrassment, sour tasting, fear, unhappy. Their facial expressions are still the same as a sighted person. You know, those expressions aren't taught; they're instinctive.
Yeah.
So we know that blind people, even if they can't see through their eyes, emotionally they can still see. To react in the way that they portray back the sense, so we can see it. If you see, does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
We talk about mind, don't we? Have a word in our language called mind.
Yep.
And we say, "Do you mind?
Yeah.
Do you mind? Do you mind doing so and so? Now, would you mind if I?" What are we talking about?
If I had a mind to, I'd do that.
But what are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
Because we're led to believe our mind's in our head. So I'm asking, do you mind? What? How can a mind be something that's based in your head? Be something that you do?
That translates into the physical.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, here's the twirling jerk, the twerk of the language. That mind is the word meant, or mente. But we have the word meant in the language. But we spell it M-E-A-N-T.
We do, yes.
And it's quite an unusual word. It's not. There's not another one like it. But there is another one like it that also isn't a unique word, and that's D-R-E-A-M-T, dreamt. See, so meant and dreamt. There's something along that. These two are unique words in our language. There's many of them, but these two rhyme together. So there's something to know here. M-E-A-N-T is mean it or mean to. Yeah, I meant to do that. But we say it too many twos. Mean it. Meant is mean it or mean to. So now we know that mind is mean. Yeah. Now, mean comes in various guises in this language, doesn't it?
Yep.
Mean can be the middle, or it can be either end of the scale.
Yeah.
You can either have taken it all or have nothing. Clever, isn't it?
It is.
It's a remarkable language. Even the word languor means weak. And we know we're at the weak edge. You know, the empire that was the British Empire, when Britannia ruled the Wales, which was many, many hundreds of years ago now, we've come a long way in what I would say was less than 6 lifetimes. The agricultural revolution, which was the first modern day revolution, was what, the 1720s, 1725?
Yeah.
The industrial revolution was pretty much 50 years later,
Yeah.
in 1775. And then came the transport revolution. All here, all based in here in Britain. And those 3 revolutions changed the face of Europe and kept rippling out all the way to India and further.
And further, yeah.
But we got the revolutions in that order, didn't we? Agricultural, industrial, and then the transport, particularly the trains. And it worked well for us, because if we go back to 1700, the actual manpower required to make the food for 21 people was 20 people. 20 people had to work to make the food for 21 on the land. But by 1900, that figure to make the food for 21 people had gone to 3, which had freed up 17 bodies, which allowed, after the agricultural, the industrial, then the transport, and that was what made what we know to be the country we were proud of. Those were the rising star, when the sun shone.
Doing people out of work.
But it changed our way of life, didn't it?
Did.
6 lifetimes ago, 5 lifetimes ago, really, I suppose. 4 lifetimes if you want to be, if you go to 1775.
But that fits with the agenda that they're working to, doesn't it? That
Yes, but
there
look-
was too many of us.
look how
That's
fast
why
it
they
was.
want rid of us.
But look how quick it was.
Yeah, how quick.
Look
yeah.
how quick that changed,
So-
because the agricultural revolution didn't get to Germany for almost 80 years.
No.
But the industrial revolution, we were selling them the steel, then teaching them to build the railways.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, they were getting all the stuff, weren't they? But they didn't have the food to feed everybody.
No.
The real basis of this is you've got to be able to feed your workforce. It's okay buying the metal, building the factories, but you've got to feed your workforce.
Yeah.
So they had to start importing food, didn't they? This is how the empire was built. This is where our money was made. All the trading, wasn't it? This is all the imports, exports, is where it all started, in real earnest.
Yeah.
I mean, the East India British, the trading companies, it was all...
East India Company. Also, they were taking away the sovereignty of those countries
They were.
and enslaving them.
And by debt.
Taxing them for the
Debt and
stuff
taxation,
coming out and taxing them for the stuff going in.
Japan was wrecked.
They bombarded it into oblivion.
But this is little bits of history that do make... It's helpful to know
It
for
is.
today's information.
It fits with
because
just
the
what's
same
happening
thing's
today.
going on.
Yes.
You realise now that the might controls the aggression.
Yeah.
America is the most technologically advanced superpower that's probably ever existed.
Military power.
The reason why America is the number 1 in the world is because it's got the best science, the best scientists. They've paid them. They've got them all.
Yeah.
Russia can't fight.
Kidnapped them.
Russia doesn't have the same level.
But paid them well.
Yeah. Russia's never had the same level as America's got.
Nope.
So we know the scientists are absolutely crucial to control. But then you have to have control of the money system. You've got to pay them.
Yeah. And then the Americans have pretty much ditched the space program and given it to the Russians, haven't they? Or are they renting it out to the Russians?
Would you ever give your latest finds to your enemy?
No.
Of course you wouldn't.
No.
You'd give your latest but one find to your
Yes,
enemy,
you
wouldn't
would,
you?
yeah.
I mean, people are talking about, are we edging towards World War III? Well, every day is a day close to World War III, isn't it?
I think we're in it already. I think
Well-
we're heading towards World War IV.
I think that we've been in the Cold War for our entire lives.
Yeah.
And that's me and you.
Mm.
You know, they've actually been trying to freeze us. You know, if I look back at people younger than me now, I mean, I see an entire, almost 2 generations now of people stuck between 19 and 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Running around, chasing sex, all wearing the same clothes, all saying the same stuff, all doing the same thing, all driving the same cars,
Mm-hmm.
and all doing the same jobs.
Yeah.
But they're not 19 to 26.
No,
But they're all aged 19 in their heads.
in their head, yeah.
In their heads.
Yeah.
It's an entire
Not move forward.
copy. They're all copiers.
Yeah.
We know copying's not good for us.
No,
We know it isn't.
no.
You must learn.
You've got to copyright.
Because if you don't,
You'll be in the
you'll just like everybody else,
SH1T.
yeah. You'll just be copy wrong and done.
Mm.
The error margin will be cluttered with corrections.
Yeah.
Got to learn your lines, haven't you?
You have.
This is why we do this.
Mm.
Because we know by speaking out, just like we do now, talking to each other but with microphones, and putting it up for people's validation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not validation that we want you to be happy with us.
No.
We want to see if there's something in it for other people.
Yeah.
Because
do.
we do believe that our studies and our attempts to decode the words,
Mm-hmm.
decode life, understand what's going on around us,
Yeah.
we do believe that hopefully somebody might get something out of it.
Yeah. Well-
but it teaches us much by doing this, because as soon as we finish, we're going to listen back, aren't we?
We are. And it sort of made you immortal, hasn't it? Hopefully this will be on there forever for somebody to go find.
Well, we've got it.
Yeah.
We've got the recordings if nobody else. I mean, YouTube probably... Once you're on the internet, I don't think you ever disappear.
No, I don't think you do. And maybe somebody's downloaded it and kept it or whatever. And are these the artifacts that people are going to dig up, a bit like what they've done with the Egyptians when, is it your new sarcophagus?
But we're too simple, me and you.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. You and I make life too simple.
Yeah.
And we do it on purpose. We know life isn't this simple.
Mm.
But we try and bring it down to the lowest decode we can.
Yeah, it's got to be simple for me
And
to
then,
understand.
and then
Yeah.
we look up and see why it's so complex.
Yeah.
And the basis of why it's so complex is corruption and lies.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody around you is doing something they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
And you can tell what they're into because they mix with like-minded people.
Birds of a
They're up
feather.
to... They're doing things they shouldn't as well.
Yeah.
The bankers mix with the bankers.
Mm-hmm.
The plumbers mix with the plumbers.
Mm-hmm.
The housewives mix with the housewives. The cleaners mix with the clean. They all are in the same clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you don't see them as clubs, but they are. Find me somebody who's perfect. And I don't think it'll take me long to say, not quite. Okay, not quite. Everybody's up to something that they shouldn't. Because that's how this system works.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be people listening saying, no, I'm not. So you buy yourself a big mirror.
Yeah.
And just tell me that you definitely not. We live in a world that won't even admit that the girls keep buying the clothes because of what it's done to them. What feminism has done to these girls is ridiculous. It's made them compete with us.
Mm.
Since when did women compete with men? Well, since now, apparently.
Mm.
It's made them argue with us. Why would you argue with someone you live with? And then it's made us try and beat us.
Yeah.
Why?
Mm.
Why? Because apparently they want to. It's not working out well for them, is it, really? Not really.
No.
Isn't the best, most important job in the world to actually bring up the next generation?
It should be.
Isn't that the proudest thing that you could ever do?
Mm-hmm.
And for a woman to say, I don't want to do that,
Mm-hmm.
it's less than.
Yeah.
Whatever she's taking in exchange is less than what she could be.
Yeah.
I know, again, I'm talking about a perfect world.
Mm-hmm.
But too many women now are saying, I'm not bothered. No, I'm not bothered.
No.
I don't feel at all obliged to have kids, really.
down to, you said perfect world, and perfect world's down to perception, isn't it? What is your perfect world? Currently, my world is perfect. I couldn't ask for anything else. And what more do I deserve? You've got to ask yourself, what do you really deserve? I've got everything I need. I've got a roof over my head. I've got food in my belly. I can.
But are we guilty of saying things are fine, so we don't have to do anything?
Yeah.
Are we guilty?
We can be.
Are we like everybody else who says, "I know the world's jacking the food. I know they're messing with the medical stuff.
Yeah.
I know my doctor probably knows less than bloody me after I've been on the internet.
Yeah.
I know the police service has been turned against me. I know the soldiers have just been sent to play soldiers and die occasionally, so we think there's a war going on." But you can't say that's fine once you know that, can you?
No.
You see what I mean by that? It's awful. Yeah. How are you? I'm fine. And once we convince ourselves we're fine, then we can relax.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to worry about anything.
No.
We're not fine.
No.
That's why we do this. Because we bloody well know. But arguing on the internet, spreading the news stories, and thinking that just by, let's come together, let's unite, this isn't the way it's going to work. No. If you don't get off your ass, go to meetings, and get involved with the people who make decisions that affect your life, the rest is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the rest is bullshit.
I know, and we've talked about that, haven't we? And for reasons that we're not going to discuss, in the area that we live, you know you're going to rub somebody up the wrong way, and there are some real psychos out there, and if somebody wants to take you down that are in a place of authority that you may have knocked them off the perch, they really can go for you, and that's one of the nasty things in this world. The annoying thing that's really annoying me at the moment is, and I've probably been guilty of it in the past, in looking at what's going on around the world, and there's been a few comments like that on Facebook, and my wife said it as well, and I know I've come round here and said, I can't believe people are saying, well, I know it's going on there, but we're all right, aren't we? We're never going to experience that. You've got to feel sorry for them. No, you bloody haven't got to feel sorry for them. This is the reverse psychology of it is they're making you think that you're sitting pretty and everything's all right for us. It bloody isn't all right for us. It's them so-and-sos that are in charge that are causing the problems and being paid to cause the problems to feather their own nests. And there was a time when politicians were older people. And suddenly we got into this Blairism, and it suddenly turned round to image. The suit and the smile and the hair done, and who you're rubbing shoulders with.
Let's ask Giles Brandreth.
Yes. It's weeks like this that make me glad that I'm no longer in politics, you know, because, I mean, I remember...
Do you know, I think everyone feels the same.
I mean, the truth is, the one thing I could not stand about being an MP were my constituents. You may loathe members of Parliament, but it is as nothing as to how we feel about you.
A little bit of a roper recorded now. I might have to redo that one, actually. But anyway, didn't come out right, I don't think, that little segment, but it doesn't matter. Giles Brandreth, that was.
Yeah,
on Have I Got...
how it is.
Yeah, how it's... I don't think it's changed, really. But I think they might have had contempt for us. But at least we were strong enough and smart enough to not let them get away with what they're getting away with now. But now it's open. They're not bothered at all. They don't care if you know.
No.
They're selling everything. I mean, I know in my mum and dad's day or my grandma and granddad's day, they sold all the big stuff. The the gas, the electric, the railways. So it's not that it's new. It's just that it's so brazen now, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's so bloody brazen. And you were saying about MPs, about how old they should be. And it's bothering us now because we're older than they are.
Yes.
And there was a time when I would thought they still know more than me.
Yes.
And I've realised that no, they don't. I don't feel less than an MP.
No.
In fact, I feel capable to be one. In fact, I think that I would be rubbish at being an MP.
Yeah.
Because nobody would like me.
No.
Except the people who voted for me. But unfortunately, the people who voted for me, I'd probably end up letting them down because I wouldn't be able to do what I wanted to.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I
you
would
wouldn't be allowed to do what you wanted to do.
I would be whipped into shape or thrown out of the party.
Yeah.
And I would be ostracised. They wouldn't. If I said I'm not following protocol,
No.
I'm not doing as I'm told, they say you're in the party. You're part of our party, and you do as you're damn well told.
Well, that's one of the things I was thinking about doing, was doing myself a little manifesto. But it would. I'd reword that to say, these are the promises that I hope I could make. And one of the things I would get rid of is party politics, because
You're dreaming.
I know I'm dreaming. I am in that dreamt.
Right.
I'm in me meant, and I'm dreamt.
Yeah.
And we get rid of the parties, and it would be just as we've sat and taught. You need to know who your local MP is, and they need to be accessible.
Yeah,
they need to be able to knock on their door and have grievances with them, and then take it to. This is our These are our problems here.
Yep.
No, and we need to sort those out first before we can sort anything else out.
We've had a 3-point manifesto before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Interest-free mortgages.
Yeah.
That's it. Interest-free mortgages. Your MP must live local.
Yep.
Stay local.
Stay local.
And with today's modern technology, he should be holding surgeries.
Yes,
Wards. Think about it. Come on, this is a can't concentrate camp in the children's ward in a big military hospital, isn't it?
It is.
That's how this is set out, by the way.
With doctors and doctrines.
Exactly. That's how this is all set out for us. Yeah. But yeah, the 3-point manifesto would be 4 points actually. I go for 4. The first one. Interest-free mortgages.
Yeah.
Second one, only one interest-free
only
mortgage
one,
at a time.
For your house.
Yeah, for your house.
For your roof over your head.
Interest-free mortgages. Your MP must work local, stay local, and be available on a normal working week basis.
Of course.
And what he does at the weekends, none of my business.
The swines don't even answer their email. You send them an email, you don't even get an
Well, you get an automated reply. But anyway, and they must be available to the constituents by appointment on a weekly basis, just like any doctor.
Yeah.
Just because this is a hospital,
this
is a ward.
Yeah,
so if they're going to be head doctor,
we vote in wards.
Yeah, exactly. If they're going to be head doctor, we want to make an appointment, and they should hold monthly meetings, they should tell us what they know.
Yeah.
And the third one was healthcare freedom. Remember we said?
Yeah.
Healthcare freedom.
We
should be able to have the healthcare.
You've paid in. You should be able to spend it where you feel you want to spend it.
Well, I think healthcare should be. It's not a one-size-fits-all, I'm afraid.
No.
Your healthcare should be a basic level of cover, and then you're going to have to pay as you go. And the people who've not followed the correct, the correct way of looking after yourself, they're going to break down earlier. You see, I'm not averse to people paying for the damage they've done to themselves. This isn't. It's not so much different to what we've got. We've got to get used to it. That if you don't, the word here I'm looking for is force.
Yes,
force. And I can tell you that it's force that matters.
Of course,
because when a job needs doing in your life, okay, what is it that forces you to do it? It's either your wife, financial necessity, or the clock.
Yeah.
In other words, if it needs doing,
to get it done.
If it needs doing tomorrow, okay, and it's going to take a couple of hours, you'll start it after lunch. That's force. Force is what makes you do something, and if there is no force exerted, you'll never do it until that is the case. It's not power, it's force, and the only person that can initiate force in your own lifetime is you. You see, there is no gun to our heads here. There is no force in the way that people try and describe this as an authoritarian tyranny that is looking to jail you and steal everything. It will, if you don't follow the rules. Let's get that absolutely straight. But there is no gun. Has anybody made you do something that you didn't really want to? We don't want to pay tax, but we do it. But has anybody made you do something that you didn't really want to? And the answer is probably no, not really. I made a decision based on the information I had given to me by my controllers, and did that. There is no free lunch. There is no utopia.
No.
The socialism that everybody thinks is coming isn't coming, because the people at the bottom are not going to get fed. When these smart meters are in, and when they've got the fracking well underway.
And they've got the cash out the way.
Yeah, we're going to get down to about 20 litres of water each a day. And that'll be your allowance. And it's barely enough to flush the loo. That's where we're going.
Yeah.
We are not stupid. We're not dozy. We just accept that what we've got is what we have to deal with. Would we like it to be better? Of course we'd like it better. Would we like our money back that they've stolen off us? Of course we'd like it back. But that's not the way it's going to work.
No. And
the force is what we need
to
exert. And that force comes in truth and numbers.
It does.
And the truth is we're not happy, and the amount of numbers that have to say that is what makes the difference.
And those numbers are growing, as we saw in Nottingham. That's one thing that encouraged me about that little clip, was the numbers that had turned up to get rid of turn the bailiffs away, and they didn't even turn up. So that just shows you what power we have. If our force is put in the right place, and we're getting to a point now where they're not even bothered about writing it on people's high vis coats saying enforcement officer. That should put the fear of God into you. They might as well have wrote SS on the uniform.
Yeah, they might as well.
They might as well have done.
Yeah.
And if that is not scaring you youngsters, then I don't know what we need to do to scare you even more. I really don't.
All life's lessons in mine have been hurt by falling.
Yeah.
And it would appear that applies on the bigger scale too. The bigger stages that we have to fall and get hurt.
Yeah.
Now they say that they reckon they're going to hold us this time. With the technology and the medical stuff they've got, they reckon they're going to keep us in check this time.
Yeah.
We're not going to come back.
No.
They may be right. They may be right. This is... Well, they've always engineered humanity to serve their needs. And that was written in the book 2,000 years ago. You know, to make us in their image. If somebody says that, you know, we've been bred from apes, well, I'm going to say, well, I pretty much think you're right, really, because we still do our breeding from apes now. Because those are the animals that we test on before it comes to us. So if you just realise that everything that goes on is just a repeat of what's always gone on. And if we go back to 2,000 years ago and say, what did happen 2,000 years ago? Well, the book says that they're bred from apes. What, 2,000 years ago? Well, no, about 100,000 years ago. Huh? Hang on. The book says it was 2,000 years ago. But science says it's hundreds of thousands of years ago. Or is it 12, or is it 14, or is it 30, or is it just 2, or... You see? You don't know, and I don't know, do you?
No.
No. The scientists are employed by the control system.
The control system, yeah.
So I'm a little dubious to go with just their information.
Yeah, the scientist goes to work for the highest paid.
The scientist has got the biggest visors on. He's added his own visors.
Yeah.
He can see where he's going and nothing else. Hardly tie his shoelaces and do a week's shopping, but he's a good bloody scientist. Yes, I think we've been bred from apes. But that, of course, takes us down the road of, well, they must have landed here from another planet. Well, that's rubbish, isn't it? That's rubbish at all, isn't it? They've domesticated the apes, and then they've bred us from them. We are the different bloodline. Anybody looks into blood types and bloodlines, you realise that there's a lot in blood.
There is, yeah.
There's a lot of differences in blood, and there's
the monkey blood is rhesus negative.
There's no real explanation of why some have it and why some don't. And yet it's right in front of you, actually, isn't it? It's quite simple, isn't it? We've been bred for purpose.
We have born and bred.
Born free. And that's as close as you get. Because that's about a lion, wasn't it?
It's got to be wheat free now as well, according to the Sun newspaper, hasn't it?
Serial killers. Serial killers, that's what they are.
I must, just as conversation comes back to that, both my wife and my daughter they're on the gluten-free stuff because they do find that the wheat that they're eating, the bodies don't like it.
Because they've messed about it with it so much.
Exactly.
Exactly. The allergies are all over now, aren't they?
They are. We in Britain, we used to eat barley. We didn't eat wheat. The wheat was imported by the Romans brought it with them. They brought a lot of stuff that we shouldn't have had that they've brought in. So it's cereal. This is our cereal. We do it every week when we're well enough.
To all that's listening on YouTube, thank you for doing so. This has been Tuesday the 29th of July 2014. My Facebook, your Facebook will be underneath this. All the rest of the stories, although we haven't used them, we haven't had the touch on this morning. They're all on the pages. Thanks for listening. My name's Paul.
Mine was Andy.
And all being well, we'll be back next week.